Good day. You're probably wondering what kind of place this is. This is the place where you can really, truly, absolutely take your time. I mean, honestly, if you ever happen to run out of time, you can always get some more right here. But as you can see, it's actually pretty empty here because, well, we've run out of time. Do you know anyone who ever says, wow, I have so much time on my hands, really so much time. I don't even know what to do with it all. No, you don't know. And now you know why you don't know anyone like that. We've used up all the time. I don't have time. That's something a lot of people around me, and I myself, often say. Most people come home from work, grab something to eat, maybe chat a bit, watch something. You might even have to take care of some business, and before you know it, the evening is over. Because of this, I've really come to appreciate shorter games. Back in the day, I could spend hours playing multiplayer, or enjoying a good role-playing game. Or just playing RPGs in general. But these days I like blasting through games with a tight 8 to 12 hour campaign. But that's why I ask myself, can video games be too long? This thought has come to me most often lately, because I've spent a lot of time playing Tears of the Kingdom. Well, a lot of time by today's standards. It must be almost 100 hours. That's really a lot of time for me to spend on a game these days. If I compare that to the past, for example, I've spent around 4,000 hours on Rocket League when you add up all the platforms. Yes, I bought Rocket League multiple times back when it wasn't free to play. But that's not important right now. What's more important is the answer to the original question, and that's not so easy to answer. It probably depends a lot on what stage of life you're in. As a student, or especially as a single person, I hardly cared about time at all. I poured hours into games and was simply happy if a game managed to keep me entertained for as long as possible. These days, I notice that while I still have fun, I try to get through as quickly as possible without exploring every corner. I just want to finish, because there's always that lingering fear that I might never actually complete it. You might know this feeling yourself. If you put a game aside for too long, you tend to never pick it up again, simply because the hurdle of getting back into it is so high. I've often caught myself in situations where I could continue, but instead I start something new. We just have less free time now. Time is like the hair on my head, barely there. But if you look for it, you can still find some. But maybe time is like hair in general, you just have to find it. When I look at the rest of my body, there's still quite a lot of hair there. So maybe here and there you can still find a bit of time to game. But is that enough to get through those really long games? For me, I'd have to say, probably not. Without the YouTube channel, maybe it would be more likely. Before I had the channel, I spent a lot of time playing racing games. And just as an example, I bought this sim rig in July. And do you know how many times I've used it since then? Twice. So if I can't even find time for this myself, I have to admit, yes, games can be too long for someone like me. But I'm not everyone. When I think of a game like Witcher 3, for example, I do believe there are definitely games that can justify their playtime. I didn't even complete everything there, and still spent 160 hours with all the DLCs. And you know what? Even after those 160 hours, I was somehow sad that it was over. I could have easily handled 5 more DLCs. On the other hand, there are games like Tears of the Kingdom, where at some point I just say, that's enough for me. I really liked Breath of the Wild, but with Tears of the Kingdom, I found the underworld just too much. The normal world was more than enough, but they probably wanted to justify making a sequel to Breath of the Wild. But I have to say that, for me, a Zelda game used to have the perfect length. I never tracked my playtime in Ocarina of Time, but I always felt like it was exactly as long as it needed to be. The world is small, but there's something to discover everywhere. In Tears of the Kingdom, there's also a lot to discover, but it's mostly just a lot of junk. You open a chest and tada, a weapon I don't need. Congratulations. That just pads out the playtime without adding any real value. The chests are about as valuable as my videos. You might watch them, but at the same time you're thinking, honestly, I probably could have skipped this. The question of whether video games can be too long is really a very individual one. Above all, with a lot of games you can pretty much choose the length yourself. Am I a completionist who has to explore everything and collect every trophy? Well, then a lot of games are very long, and in my opinion, way too long. But if I just quickly play through the story, then I might save time. But in the case of a game like The Witcher, I also miss out on a lot. What really annoys me sometimes is when game time is artificially stretched. There are games where you can really tell that they just desperately wanted to pad out the playtime. One example is even my beloved Need for Speed Underground 2. The last chapter could easily have half the races cut out. It's just way too long at the end. You don't get anything new anymore, and you've already seen everything. A long playtime really needs to offer significant added value. Of course, that's easier said than done, but there are plenty of short, fun experiences. Katamari for the Switch, for example, is one such game. You can finish it in just a few hours, but you have fun the whole time. However, with such a short game, you also have to take the price into account somehow. Maintaining the balance here is not that easy. And we, as people, also have to maintain a balance. Life isn't always easy to manage. But this now very overused term, work-life balance, is something that can't be ignored. How much of my life do I put into my work? How much time do I invest in family and friends? And how much time is actually left for myself? The focus on what is important to you in life usually changes over the years. And at some point, gaming simply isn't the main focus anymore. And no matter how you spend your own time, the most important thing is that it's something you enjoy doing. Balance is important after all. For me, gaming was usually my way to find balance. I used to do a lot of sports as well, but these days, unfortunately, I have to choose between the two. Yes, I'm known for my wise decisions. I don't know what stage of life you are currently in. Most of my viewers are between 25 and 40, and I think they have similar thoughts to mine when it comes to time management. Some of you already have children, which makes things even more difficult. But luckily there are also co-op games. That's another thing. Co-op games can also be either too long or too short. In co-op, it gets even more difficult because you also have to find a group that always has time. At least for me, that already caused problems in the past. I always thought it was cool to be able to play something together for an evening and then put it away again without feeling guilty. Some of you are even already gaming with your kids, and I think that's really awesome. Playing together brings people closer. It was already like that for us back in our youth with friends. Even though both are just looking at one screen, you still experience something together. Nowadays, no one wants to sit and watch a tube TV with me anymore. I always spend my time alone, by myself, here, all alone. I haven't been outside since my childhood. I've really gone off on a tangent now, but the question about the length of a game just depends on so many factors, and I think it's impossible to talk about all of that in a single video. But this topic has been on my mind for quite a while, and I think many others have thought about it too, if only because the topic of time is always so present. After all this chaos of thoughts, I can definitely say, yes, a game can be too long, but it always depends on the context. How much does the game value your time? How well is the story told, and how is the world designed? And of course, there are personal factors. How much time do I want to invest? Does it bother me to play the same game for months, or do I make the time for it? All of this determines how long a game can be. I'm still searching for time for us, but unfortunately, there's nothing left. But maybe, just like my hair, I'll still manage to find a little bit of time for myself. And those were just a few of my thoughts on the topic of whether video games can sometimes be a little too long. I think many of you probably have your own thoughts and opinions on this, and I would be very happy if you shared them in the comments below. I'm really genuinely quite curious to hear how you all feel about it. Do you often think about time yourself, or do you have plenty of it? Are short games your thing, or should it have an extensive story? Or maybe multiplayer is the only thing for you? I'm looking forward to a lively exchange, and feel free to discuss among yourselves as well. Many thanks to everyone who watched up to this point. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe. See you next time. A heart for my subscribers.